So in this video, we will talk about what are the basic concepts of Java and few thumb rules to start with. And then we will write our first code and try to understand it. So let's get started. So Java. So the first thing that we keep into our mind is Java is Java is purely object oriented programming language. So this is the first thing that we need to keep in our mind. Java is an object-oriented programming language. What does this mean? We will talk about it in another video in more details. Second thing that we need to know is everything, since Java is an object-oriented programming language, everything in Java is an object, which is an instance of a class. So everything in Java is an object which is created using an instance of a class, which is an instance of a class, we can say. Or in simple terms, what do we mean by this is an object is created using a class. So we can say a class is a blueprint or a recipe using which we are creating a real world entity called as object. This is what we need to know for now, but in later videos we will discuss on more details in object and classes, like what is an object, what is an classes in more details, and with real life examples we will discuss. The third thing that we know is what is a program. What is a program? What is a program? So program is nothing but a set of instructions, in order to solve a problem, in order to solve a problem. Now, whenever you are writing any instruction or any program, there should be a starting point from where your code will start to execute, right? So there should be some starting point, and that starting point in most of the programming languages is called main method. Main method. So in Java also, we have this main method which acts as an starting point for any program to execute. So the main method somewhat looks like this. We have these two curly braces. So until and upon all the lines inside the main methods are executed, the program will run. And once the main method is finished, our program is also completed. The fourth thing that we need to know, fourth and last thing before writing our first program, is a main method should always be inside a class. So this is the fourth requirement, that the main method should always be inside a class. Can we create, so the question comes here, can we create a main method outside a class? So up till before Java 21, like the versions which are less than Java 21, like Java 17, 8, 11, in these versions we cannot. But just now in Java 21, we can do this. But there is no point of doing it, because everything in Java is either a class or it's an object. So we need to have this main method inside our class only. So let's start with our first program And let's again first go over the point. The first thing that we need to remember is Java is a purely object oriented programming language, meaning everything in Java is object. Second thing is everything in Java is an object which is created using an instance of a class, which means a class is responsible for creating an object. A class acts as a blueprint or recipe to create an object. Now, what is a program? A program is a set of instruction in order to solve a problem. But in order to write a program, in order to start program, you need to have some entry point, and that entry point for most of the programming languages is called as main method. And the last thing is this main method should always be inside a class in Java for the versions which are below 21. In Java 21, we can create a main method outside Java class and execute it, but it's of no use. So that's why, just to follow the convention, it's always good to create main method inside a class. We will discuss on the details when we will have a much knowledge of it, and we will in depth when we will discuss about objects and classes. Then we will get to know why it's necessary to have a main method inside a class. What is the point? So for now, let's get started for now, let's get started to create our first program. I'll just open my IntelliJ and let's just create our first program. My first code, and can just type in create. So if you are also able to see this particular snippet of main method, you can just delete it and we will try to create it from scratch. Now, the first thing that we said is, in order to have any program executed, we need to have a main method. But where we need to have this main method? We need to have this main method inside a class. So the first step is to create a class. So this is our source folder. Inside this, will go to new, create Java class. So let's say I write it as my first class. Also, there is a convention is Java. So whenever you are writing, whenever you are trying to create any Java class, it's always good to start the class name with a caps letter, and it's always good to have the class name and the file name as same. But this IntelliJ IDEA does it automatically for us. So it's always mandatory to have the class name created with first letter as capital. So this is a convention which is being followed inside the IT industry. So let's see, like, what is the code which is being generated by IntelliJ for creating a class. What does this mean? So the first thing that we see these three lines with this we see these three words. So public class, my first class. So this is the class name that we gave, my first class. So this we don't need to care about. Now the first word is public. So what does this public mean? So public generally means like who can access my class, who or which file will be able to, which other classes will be able to access the class that I have created. So this is the use of this. So currently it's public, meaning it can be accessible to everyone. It is accessible to everyone. Whoever who wants to access it can access it. Now this class is used to create a class. The class keyword is required to create a class. That's why we have this second word as class, and then now we have our class name. After that, we see the curly braces, which defines the starting and ending point of our class. So which defines the scope of our class basically. So this is the current scope of our class. Okay, so now we have our first class created. Now we want, in order to execute any program, we learned that we need to have a main method. So to execute a program, we need to have a main method. So let's just create our main method. So how do we create it? Same way, public. What does public mean? It's a access specifier, which generally means who can access it. So since the main method is the starting point of a program, so it's necessary to have it public, because then only JVM will be able to access it and execute it. If we mark it as private, which means no one is able to access it, no one will be able to access it, then how come JVM will be able to access and execute it? That's why for main method, it's always necessary to have the access modifier as public. Now public, then static we will cover later. For now we just need to know that we need to have this static keyword whenever we are creating our main method. Void, so void is the return type, and return type basically what the function is returning, what is the main method will return. So there is it should be always void. You can create it as int, but it won't, like, it's of no use, but and it will also throw an error even if you will try it with int, because there is no point of having any other data type, because when like since the main method is the entry point, and as I said that once the main method goes its last line, the function our the program execution is completed. So even if you are returning anything at the last of your line, even if let's say from here you are trying to return some value from your main method, this value is of no use because the program is already completed after this line. So that's why it's always recommended to use void, and if you will not use void, the program might fail. So we can try experimenting this. So public static void main string, so this is the method name main, and this method name also you cannot change because JVM looks for a particular keyword when it searches for the main method. So it will look for this main keyword only when it will try to search for it. So string, then args. So this is generally for reading the command line arguments. This we can discuss later on because this is not of much importance, because for now we are only starting, so we just need to know the uh, basic flow of the code. So now we have the main method created. So we have a class. Inside that class, we have a main method as well. Now what we can do is let's try printing out some lines of code into our console. So to print anything, we have this system. So system is basically a library. System is basically a class created by Java developers to do in and out. System out dot print ln. So yeah, this is our complete program. Now if we try to run this, okay, so we see hello world getting printed. So that's it for today's video. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.